people. This is your girl Shainestee, and I'm back with another video. If no one has told you this today, you are amazing. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing some tips or advice as far as the process of becoming a homeowner. I definitely learned so many things, and I feel like the second time around will go a lot smoother, and there's definitely some things that I could have done myself to better prepare myself. So if you are interested, go ahead and hit a like button. Feel free to leave any comments about anything that I don't address that you may need an answer to, and subscribe, because you know it's lit over here. So without me postponing it anymore, let's jump into the video. All right, so first things first, do your research. Google what are, things that I need to do to prepare myself for owning a house. Check to see what grants or loans are available, programs that may be available in your city, county, or state. Take a class. There are so many first-time home buyer classes. I know here in Memphis, a lot of places do it, but I went to United Housing, which taught me so many things that we don't know, because it's your first time. You don't know what to expect. And pretty much just letting you know, giving you that extra information to make an informed decision on whether or not you should get a home now or later. So that's definitely the first thing. 2, do this for you. Do not get a house just because you feel like you need to do it. Do it because you truly want to, or it makes sense for you to get one. In Memphis, to find a decent apartment and one that's in a great area, whether it's closer to your job or just how the surrounding area look, you're gonna have to pay a lot. And I know for me, I was paying like $1,200, and that was just for the apartment. That's not including MLGW or other costs. So eventually it got to the point where I was like, it makes sense for me to have something that's mine and stable than to constantly jump from apartment to apartment, because with apartments, the rates go up every year. So even though you may renew your agreement, chances are you're not going to be paying the same thing that you was. And so I felt like with the amount that I was paying there, I could get a house. And eventually I just wanted something stable. I wanted something to call my own. I wanted something not as temporary. And that is what made me look into getting a home. However, I did not know where to start, so I Googled some things. I looked up realtors that had pages on Facebook and asked questions to kind of get some type of information. And yeah, that kind of ties into research too. So do it for the right reason. Don't do it for clout or whatever the case may be. Don't worry about everybody else. Just, if that's your goal, do it. If it's not your goal, you don't have to. There's nothing wrong with living in an apartment, because trust me, I loved it. It was very convenient. Finances. This kind of tapped into what I said at first with looking at grants and programs. But one thing I learned is not to depend on that, because you never know what may happen. Whenever you depend on something outside of yourself, there's a chance of things falling through. So for me, I did do the Tennessee First Time Home Buyer Program, and the bank at that time, Bancorp South at that time, there was a grant they had. And look into the bank that you go into, because sometimes banks like Regions, Bancorp, First American, or whatever the name is, they'll have certain programs as well, or grants. And grants are things you don't have to pay back. So I would definitely look into that. But also have you some cash in the bank, because let's say you want a specific loan or grant and something happens to where it falls through. If you already have saved enough, you're not worried about it. The pro is you're prepared if something falls through. You have some money in your savings so that you can still get your home. If it doesn't fall through, then you have a great emergency fund. And that is the one thing I wish I had did. My original plan was I was going to save money for a year. I was going to move in with my parents, which I did. And the money that I was applying towards rents that I would have just went into my savings account. So I would have had 10 to 12,000 saved up along with a grant. Just, just to have something in my savings account. However, I found out that the particular the grants that I wanted, there wasn't a lot of time left with them. So I kind of just went for it. I really did a risk it all type of situation. I kind of winged it, and I honestly didn't even know it was going to happen. I'm still kind of shocked. So it just lined up to work out, but there was a time where the concern was I wasn't going to get this grant because they were running out of money. And in that situation, I wish I would have had at least 7,000, 7 to 15,000 in my savings, so that it would have saved me a bunch of anxiety. So when you've already saved, you're prepared. You at the point where no matter what happens, I'm good financially on my end. And granted, it may take longer, but it's going to save you so much stress in the long run. Your credit. I thought the credit score was going to be a big thing. And honestly, some programs, you can have a 580 to a 640 and still get a house. So if you're at a decent, credit score, you're fine. If not, pay off some debt, talk to a financial advisor at your bank or a friend or someone that's good with finances to kind of up your credit score so that you will be eligible for certain things to get that home loan that you're looking for. Now, let's say you have done your research, you determine you're ready. You know you want a house for yourself, not to satisfy anybody else. Your finances are in order. Now you're going to choose the right team. So you want to find a realtor. And what I did was, I love social media because you get to see reviews and you get access to so many people that you might not have, another way. I spoke to 3 real estate agents, and no, I'm gonna say 4 or 5. One of them was very helpful and actually was trying to walk me through the process because I was completely clueless. This was before the class. And that's who I ended up going with, and she is amazing. If you are in the Memphis area, go to Jessica Walls. She did her thing, and I was not the easiest person to work with. My mouth, y'all. But she never gave up, and she made it work. So just make sure you find a reliable realtor. You want someone who's going to grind for you. You want someone who's going to have your best interests, who's going to listen to you and advocate for you. So make sure you pick a good realtor. And with that, they'll kind of tell you, as far as like the loan office you would like to go through or bank, they will pretty much tell you some of the places or corporations they've worked for and kind of shoot you in the right direction as far as that goes. She kind of told me 2 people, and it didn't go right with the first one a little bit because I needed a little bit more help, but she did point me in the right direction, which brings me to this. Along with your team, make sure you are choosing a good loan officer. Sometimes the wrong loan officer can make the experience bad for you. So you just want to have someone that's, one, reliable, dependable, and someone that you can get in contact with, who's going to share with you updates, who knows how to get back to you. It shouldn't be a hassle to be in communication because this is a big purchase. This is something important. So you need someone that is accessible. So like I said, choosing the right team is can make or break your home buying experience. So I would say just do my research, and if you feel like the real estate agent that you pick or the loan officer you picked is not what you're looking for, you can always drop out until you make a deal on the house and go through the process. You still have that option to choose someone else. Once you've done everything before, you got your finances, you got your team, okay, they will do a pre-approval, and a pre-approval is important. They'll do a little credit check, and kind of see what it is that you can afford. Once you have a price of what you can afford, that number or that amount can go to your real estate agent, and they can start looking up homes for you. And you can also look up homes in their price range and shoot them to your realtor so they can set up an appointment so that you view a house. So once you're pre-approved, you go around and you view houses. This can take some time. Be patient. And one thing I would say is you're not going to get everything in your first home. Now, if you rich and you got a little bit more money, you may be able to get your dream home. But a lot of time, your first home is that starter home. So don't set your expectations too high. Get some of the things you want. But like for me, I was turning down great homes because they did not have a master suite. You know, I wanted the jacuzzi. Now, keep in mind, I'm more of a shower person anyway, so I would probably use it once or twice a year, but I just wanted the works. And my mom had to sit me down and tell me, look, sometimes you're not going to get everything that you want in a house. Sometimes you start from somewhere and you can add on or renovate your house, or later on in life when you're more established, you can get that dream home. And honestly, I don't need a mansion. So you have to be real with yourself, because if you find a house, let's say your budget is $150,000, you find a house that has everything you want, that's $130,000, but it doesn't have that suite. Save your coins, get that house, and things you can add on. Some of the things that we want so bad, we won't even use them if we had them. So just be reasonable, okay? Be reasonable. And be patient. You don't have to rush it. This is a big expense coming up. This is something major. You want to be happy with what you choose. So take your time. Be patient. And that's what I struggle with. Patience, Lord. I was quick to react, and anxiety. I struggle with anxiety, and I was anxious the whole time, crying, and it was a process. Be patient, because looking back on it, everything that I was stressing about worked out. So yeah, once you find the house that you want, you put in the offer and you wait to see what the seller will give you. And three things will happen: either they'll deny it, one, they'll accept it, or they're counteracted and say, okay, let's say you want the house, but you want them to pay for a closing cost. You'll pay full price, but you want them to pay closing costs. They may counteract with something like, we'll pay half of the closing cost, and you kind of negotiate and decide what it is that you want to do. Once you guys have reached an agreement, and if you don't, you will just repeat what I said before, but if they agree with it or whatever, you go forward. And that's when you start getting your documentation ready. So this is, I know for me, I needed 2 pay stubs, my previous taxes that I had done the past 2 years, bank statements, let's see, the credit report, of course, and some other things. I'm trying to, if you've had any debts that you paid off in the past, you want to have documentation of that. Your W-2s. You'll need your W-2s. So that's kind of like the documentation you need: social security card, copy of that, your driver's license, things of that nature you will need to gather. And your loan officer submit these things to an underwriter. The underwriter is the one that's going to make the decision of giving you that money. They want to make sure that you're going to be able to pay the bills, and that's why they're going to constantly ask you for documentation. Sometimes more than others, it just depends. I had just had a recent job change, which I would say, if you can wait for that job change, because that held me back a little bit as far as like getting the documentation, like the first pay stub, versus if you already have an established job, you can just give it right to them. But that can prolong things. Recent job, decrease in income, those are things you want to watch out for. So the underwriter is going to be needing proof to know, okay, if I'm going to accept this because it falls on them, you're going to, pay your mortgage and all that. Now, once you're done with all of that, during this time while the underwriter is reviewing your files, you will be doing a appraisal. The appraiser is going to make sure that the house is actually worth the amount they're selling for. In my case, the house was worth less than what the asking price was. So thankfully, the seller agreed to it, and I didn't really have to go through too much of a hassle to that agreed price. If it's the same price or above, you're fine. but the bank will not give you any money for something that's not worth that price. Once you do the appraisal, you can have an inspection. I chose to because I wanted to make sure that I was getting a house that had a great foundation. I didn't want something that they just put together and I walk into hell. I go through a lot getting a home. I didn't want that, so I definitely had an inspector come out. What else did I do? I looked at the insurance company I wanted. Like, I was given an amount that I was to pay, and I called around, I got quotes, and I went with that. So you'll be doing things to get prepared for closing. Once you've done those type of appraisal inspection, everything has been approved, underwriter has put you on a clear to close, you will then have a date where you close. Woo-woo. And where that is, you'll sign a contract and you get the keys to your home, which is the big moment that you're searching for. Don't make any sudden changes. Don't use your credit card. Don't do any of that during that process. Don't open up any new accounts. You are to remain stagnant. If you want to do anything, you can pay off some more debt, but that's it. Because before closing, they're going to check your credit score again. So just make sure you are on your P's and Q's. So once you get to closing, read what it is you're getting yourself into. Before closing, they kind of send you 2 documents. One document is at the beginning of the process, an estimate of how much the mortgage would be in closing costs, and then right before closing, they'll send you more of what it's actually going to be, whether you'll have to pay closing costs or what your exact mortgage would be, because that will be the agreement that you're signing. This is a big purchase. Read it over. Make sure you're comfortable with it. Ask any questions if you don't know the answer to, if you're confused about something, because once you sign your name, it's on you now. From that point on, the house is your responsibility. So once you get to closing, you look over everything, you sign, you get the keys, and you are a homeowner. And like I said, I'm still in shock. I have not really truly celebrated or gave myself the props of this is something major that you accomplished. So all the crying and all that is worth it when you make the house your own. This is something you get to make yours, or start off with it, and it can be an investment. It can be something that makes you money. You can get that equity, okay? Look that up, y'all. You know, pay a little extra on your mortgage so that if you do resell it, you're getting some money in your pockets, or you can rent it out and have somebody else pay your mortgage. You know, there's so many things that you can do with a house versus that you could do with an apartment. So just to, recap everything, and sorry if I was rushing or talking fast. It was just so much I wanted to say, but feel free to leave some more questions, and if needed, I'll do a part 2 to this video with specific questions that I'm given. Number 1, do your research. Google real estate agents, classes, anything or any person anywhere. Okay, you can get the info that you need. Choose it for the right reasons. Be sure that this is something that you truly want. Finances, get your credit, get your finances, get everything ready, and then look up grants and other programs that may be available. Choose the right team, loan officer, your realtor. Make sure you are connected with people that's going to advocate for you during this process and make it smoother for you. And lastly, go through the process. You find the house you want, you submit your documents, whatever they ask for, you give. You do the inspections, you do the tests, you visit the neighborhood at night, all different times of night, making sure that it's safe. Safety is important. You're never going to be 100% safe, but there's definitely areas that are safer than others. And prepare for closing. That's pretty much the summary of my experience as far as, things that I learned or wish I knew, or just info about being a first-time home buyer. I hope that it was helpful. And like I said, feel free to leave any questions. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and until next time.